A sharp diplomatic dispute has erupted between the United Nations Human Rights Office and the Ugandan government following public statements critical of the country's political climate. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Gov't issued a strong statement denouncing what he described as an ongoing crackdown on political dissent, the erosion of the rule of law, and a shrinking civic space in Uganda. The UN rights chiefs expressed deep concern over the increasing involvement of the military in civilian institutions, warning that these actions are fostering a climate of fear and self-censorship across the country. According to the UN Human Rights Office, there's a OHCHR, reports received since Uganda's general elections indicate a rise in arbitrary arrest, enforced disappearances, and the targeting of opposition leaders, journalists, and civil society advocates. TAC urged the Ugandan government to respect its obligations under the national constitution, the African Charter, and international human rights law by restoring the separation of powers and curbing military interference in public institutions.
We are appalled at the crackdown on dissent in Uganda, alongside a gradual erosion of the rule of law, increased military involvement in civilian institutions, and shrinking civic space, all of which are creating a climate of fear throughout the country. Those who dare to speak out are silenced. There is increased self-censorship, further stifling of public debate, and deepening polarization. Since the general elections on the 15th of January this year, we have received information that at least 50 opposition leaders and supporters, 5 human rights defenders, and 5 journalists have been subjected to human rights violations. These include instances of enforced disappearance, torture and ill treatment, and arbitrary arrest or detention based on legal provisions which do not comply with international human rights law. 10 leading civil society organizations have also been suspended since January of this year, while others have been closely scrutinized and at times subject to harassment. We've also received information about increased military involvement in functions that are ordinarily carried out by civilian institutions. Some media outlets have been forced to close temporarily. We call on the government to abide by its obligations under international human rights law, the African Charter, and the Ugandan Constitution to ensure a vibrant civil society where everyone can freely express their views and participate in public affairs.
This has come only a day after Dr. Kizza Besigye collapsed in court while protesting the procedures and is hospitalized.
This nonsense must stop. You can handcuff me, but this nonsense will have to stop. You must close my mouth if you want. I will not keep quiet. I will not keep quiet. I will not allow this nonsense to continue. I will not allow this nonsense to continue. You will not proceed. Nonsense. You will not proceed. Nonsense. You are making a nuisance of our country. We shall not allow this. We shall not allow this nonsense. It will not continue. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. No, 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 no. Nonsense, nonsense. We cannot allow this. We cannot allow this. We shall not allow this. We will not allow this. We are going to allow this. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense continue. We shall, everything must have a stop. We must stop it. You cannot continue reading the Constitution. No way. You will not read the Constitution. And we allow it. We fought to establish a Constitution. Stop, 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 stop.
You
Stop, 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 stop.
Plan over
Stop, 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 stop. Stop, stop, stop. Stop.
With Dr. Kizza Besigye, with Frank Kadiri, and Joel Wakakima.
In a swift and fair response, Uganda's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ambassador Adoniya Hayabare, dismissed the allegations made by the High Commissioner. Rebuking Voka attack online, Ambassador Hayabare described the UN human rights leadership as discredited and accused the office of repeatedly misrepresenting the political and human rights reality on the ground in Uganda. Hayabare announced that the Ugandan government is preparing a detailed formal response to refute the claims, which Kampala considers to be false and biased. He further stated that Uganda intends to collaborate with like-minded nations around the globe to expose what he termed a dangerous UN body, signaling a potential shift toward stronger multilateral position against UN rights monitoring mechanisms. The tense exchange highlights long-standing friction between Kampala and global human rights bodies. The situation remains monitored as international observers wait to see how the diplomatic standoff will unfold between the UN rights chief and Ugandan authorities.